Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida is now in session. The Honorable United States District Judge Casey Rogers presiding. The United States Magistrate Judge Charles Kahn. Escambia County Circuit Judge Gary Bagash. All who have cause to plead, draw now, give attention, and ye shall be heard. God save the United States, the state of Florida, and the honorable courts.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Please remain standing for the posting of the colors. All right, be seated, please. Good morning again. I'm Judge Casey Rogers. It's my pleasure to have you all join us this morning on such a wonderful occasion as we are here for, and of course we're here for a naturalization ceremony. I do want to apologize for any confusion about the site for our ceremony that may have occurred this morning. These ceremonies are typically held in our federal courthouse, in the ceremonial courtroom on the 5th floor of that courthouse, but as many of you may know, we have been displaced from our courthouse due to some building problems. And so we are very grateful this morning to the City of Pensacola and specifically to Elaine Major and Robert Greer, Chris Johnston, and the rest of the management team here at City Hall, along with Mayor Ashton Hayward and the City Council for providing this chamber for us to hold this ceremony. Now, in spite of us being here at City Hall, as opposed to the 5th floor of our courthouse in a ceremonial courtroom, this ceremony is a court proceeding. And so this morning, this City Council chamber room is going to serve as our courtroom. And I do also want to take just a moment to thank our court staff, Mr. Brian McGinnis, Susan Sims, Irma McCain, Shane Shao, our security officers and marshal service for their efforts to make the transition from our courthouse to City Hall as smooth as possible. Thank you. Now, as you might imagine, this is a special day for a lot of people in this room. It's also a special day for our court. It's not often that our court gets to enjoy a courtroom full of happy people. But today is one of those rare occasions in which everyone in the courtroom is smiling and happy, and everyone here in the courtroom will leave smiling and happy. And so that's a good day and a special day for our court. Today, our ceremony is even more special because of what we've celebrated this week, specifically on Monday, was the 231st anniversary of the signing of the United States Constitution. And it is the annual celebration of Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, and that is actually celebrated all week long. And it's, in my opinion, it's very fitting for us to hold a naturalization ceremony in connection with Constitution Day or Constitution Week, because the ceremony is literally a living civics lesson in citizenship. And I would encourage everyone here in the courtroom to take a moment to find a copy of the Constitution. If you don't have one in your back pocket, find a copy. You certainly can find it online. It is a short document. In spite of how powerful it is, it's very short. And take time to read it or to reread it if obviously, if you've already read it, please do reread it. If you haven't read it, I really strongly encourage you to take time to do that. I wish we had time to do that this morning, but we do not. Few housekeeping matters I would like to get out of the way. Cameras and videos are fine. Hopefully you've been told that. There's no problem with taking photographs or videos. New citizens, or soon-to-be new citizens, I would like to ask that at the conclusion of the ceremony that you remain seated in your seats, and there is a very important document that you will not want to leave here without, and that is your official certificate of citizenship. And if you remain seated where you are, it'll make it a lot easier for us to make sure that you leave with that document and not someone else's document. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have many distinguished guests and friends of our court who are present with us this morning. I'm going to take just a moment to recognize several of them. First, I'm going to recognize my colleagues who have joined me here on the bench. To my left is Magistrate Judge Charles Kahn. He serves on our court, the United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida. And to my right is Judge Gary Burgash. He's my state court colleague. He serves on the judicial bench, Florida's first judicial circuit here in Escambia County. And Judge Burgash is here representing the state of Florida this morning. Now, to Judge Burgash's right, we have Mr. John Appleyard, who is a very highly respected historian and a wonderful storyteller, and he will be our guest speaker for the ceremony. Next to Mr. Appleyard, we have Mr. Jeff Nall, who is the Executive Director of the Escambia Santa Rosa Bar Association, which is our local lawyer association. They're very involved in these ceremonies. And to his right is Mr. Steve Traylor, who is the president of that organization. And then down a little bit further to the right, I can see just the top of his head, is is Mr. Leo, or Dr. Leo Day. Dr. Day will be performing for us here today, and he will perform the national anthem, and then at the end of the ceremony, he will perform a very special celebration of song for us. You will not want to miss that, so I really hope you don't have to leave early, and you will be happy if you stay to hear that. Dr. Day has been performing at these ceremonies now for 12?
Yes.
12 years. 12 years. Where does the time go?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more about how wonderful he is because you're going to find out soon enough. But he actually, last thing I'll say is Dr. Day lived here several years ago, and that's how we met. And he started first performing at these ceremonies. He was the music director at Olive Baptist Church. And we lost him to Fort Worth, Texas, where he is now the dean of the School of Music at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. And that was certainly Texas' gain and our loss. But he comes back here for almost every ceremony on his own time and dime, and he loves performing, and that will be evident when you hear him sing. Right, and then to Dr. Day's right is Lieutenant Allison Malloy, and she is a Special Assistant United States Attorney. She will be making the very important motion for admission of the candidates for citizenship just a little bit later in the ceremony. And then to the other side of the courtroom, next to Judge Kahn, we have, and I don't want to mispronounce, I believe it's Miss Rachel Whitbrock? Oh, I'm not in order. Anna Higgin? Anna Higgin, Miss Whitbrock, and Mr. Mintz, who are with Representative Frank White's office. And Representative White is with the District 2, or the 2nd District, I guess, in the Florida House of Representatives. And we appreciate you all being here for the ceremony. Now, we have some others that I would like to recognize. We have seventh grade students, civics class at Ransom Middle School. Where are our students? Here? Okay, welcome. Thank you all for being here. You're here, I believe, with your teacher, Miss Lauren Samosinko. That won't be the first name I mispronounced probably today. I hope I got that. I hope I was close. Thank you for bringing the students here today. We're really pleased to have them. The students will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance a little bit later in the ceremony, and then two of the students will also be reading an essay to us in just a little bit. I also want to recognize retired Judge Pat Maney from Okaloosa County. Thank you, sir, for being here today. I believe you have a friend or colleague in the group of candidates. And then I would also like to recognize and thank our color guard this morning, United States Marine Sergeant Kyle Uzzle, who is stationed at NAS Pensacola. If I have overlooked someone, I do apologize. I hope you'll forgive me. But there are a number of other special guests from our community. We consider them our community partners in putting on these ceremonies. They have made great contributions to the ceremony. If you take just a moment at some point this morning during the ceremony to look at your programs, there is a list of these community organizations and also the contributions that they've made to the ceremony. We appreciate the contributions of all of the organizations. I assure you that these ceremonies would not be nearly as special as they are if it weren't for their contributions and for their support. One final housekeeping matter. I do want to let you know that the ceremony often exceeds 1 hour in duration. It's a very full program. It is full by design. We intend for it to be a full ceremony. Our court and our community partners work very hard to put together as special a ceremony as we can for our new citizens. They are our main focus this morning. If anyone needs to leave early, that's not a problem, but you'll be sorry because you're going to miss Dr. Day. But if you do need to leave early, please just do so quietly. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to speak now for a moment to our candidates for citizenship. And I want to say to you that you are indeed the focus of our attention this morning, and for good reason. You are all here today because you have achieved something quite extraordinary, something that millions of others around the world can only dream about and do dream about, something that I know you all have been dreaming about for some time. And of course, that's American citizenship, is what I'm referring to. And today, each of you, because of your hard work and what you've achieved, you're going to receive the highest title that our government can bestow on anyone. And that is, of course, the title of United States citizen. It's an honor for me and for our court and everyone here in the courtroom to share in this special event with you and also your family and friends, because I suspect that none of you are here without the support of family and friends along the way. And so we honor and recognize those family and friends as well today. So ladies and gentlemen, we have 76 candidates for citizenship today from 43 different countries around the world. Very diverse group. When you look at the inside of your program, you're going to see the candidates' names and their country of origin listed, and you'll see that these candidates hail from countries literally all across the globe. For example, today we have people here from Australia, from Nigeria, Thailand, Russia, Egypt, Vietnam, Poland, Colombia, Jamaica, Bolivia, Canada, just to name a few. So it's not surprising that with this vast geographic diversity comes a wonderful cultural diversity as well. And it is just this sort of diversity that's represented and reflected right here in our courtroom by our group of candidates that's made our country as unique and as wonderful as it is. And this is what has given America the great distinction of being known as the great melting pot of the world. One of my colleagues, who's not here today, she happens to be from Louisiana, and she likes to describe this great melting pot of the world like a pot of gumbo. So not surprising she's from Louisiana, but if you know about gumbo, then you know it's a dish that is made with a whole bunch of different ingredients that by themselves are not very, individually speaking, are not very appetizing. But when they're put together in a pot of stew and blended together, you have a wonderful tasting stew. And I agree with her. That's how it is in our country. We are better because we are diverse. We are better because we are unique as individuals, and we are better because we are many. And this is actually reflected in our nation's motto, which is E pluribus unum, which translated means one out of many. And we are truly one nation that has grown out of the contributions of many, and it is truly exciting to consider the ways in which you all, our candidates for citizenship, will help to build our nation going forward. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, America welcomes you. She welcomes your unique heritage into her wonderful pot of stew, just as she's done for over 200 years with millions of others, immigrants and others who've come before you. Now, I think we can all appreciate that this is a special ceremony for the new candidates and for their families and friends, but it's also a special occasion and a unique opportunity for all of us who are here in this room, because this ceremony will give each of us the opportunity to reflect on our own citizenship and give us the opportunity to think about what it means to each of us individually to be an American citizen, and to consider and remember just how truly blessed we are to enjoy the numerous rights and privileges that we have as Americans. And these are freedoms that, again, millions around the world can only dream about, and those rights and freedoms that our candidates have come here seeking. So as you consider this during the ceremony, I would ask you to also please remember a couple of things. First, this month, actually 10 days ago, on September 11th, we marked the 17th anniversary of 9/11 and the worst attack on U.S. soil and our nation's history, and the worst assault ever on our democratic freedoms. And of course, that resulted in the tragic loss of over 3,000 lives, the majority of whom were American citizens. Every day since then, including at this very moment, America has been under attack in the Middle East and in Africa, and this has resulted in thousands of more American lives being lost, and many of them, the majority of them, serving in our military. And so as you think about your own freedoms and your own citizenship this morning, ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please remember that our American freedoms are not by any means free. They come at great cost, and that cost is largely paid by the men and the women who serve in our military forces and their families. And as mentioned, in too many instances, far too many instances, the ultimate price has been paid. So as you think about your own citizenship and your own freedoms, please remember those brave Americans who've given their lives for that cause, and also remember those who are serving at this very moment in the Middle East, Africa, and elsewhere around the world. So the answer to the question of what does it mean to you to be an American is actually something that I believe we begin to formulate when we are young. Young people often have very good insight into that question. And so I've asked the students at Ransom Middle School, again the 7th grade civics class, to think about what it meant to each of them to be an American, and to put their thoughts down in writing in an essay. And although all the students did a wonderful job, there were 2 essays that stood out and really captured the meaning, and those essays were written by Megan Trung and Cheyenne Guerrier, or Guerrier? Gurrier. All right, thank you. I've asked both Megan, am I saying Megan? Megan? And Cheyenne to share their essays with us, and they have kindly and bravely agreed to do so. So I'm going to call on, I'm looking at Cheyenne. You want to come on up first? Thank you.
Good morning. As she said, I'm Cheyenne Gurrier, and I've written an essay to display the meaning of what it means to be an American. July 4th, 1776, like a seed, America sprouted out of the ground, bringing a new life and new beginning for believers. These believers believed in a better world, therefore creating a system known as democracy. When America was founded, our leaders wanted to create a land where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was not a dream, but it was reality. When I speak of these believers, they're referred to as people who had a dream and made it happen. It's their compassion that brought them to America. As more and more people came to America as believers, the American dream began to grow. Soon, the seed known as America was growing into a tall, shadowing tree, all because the people of our nation continued to water it with their ideology of what not only America should look like, but should feel like. The believers that created and fought for our country are the same kinds of people you see today. Scientists finding medicine, officers protecting our people, and soldiers fighting for this country. These believers soon inherited a new name and now they are known as citizens of the United States of America. When you look in a dictionary for the word citizen, you get a legally recognized subject or national, a state or commonwealth, either native or naturalized. Nevertheless, I believe that just goes for the word citizen. The unique thing about being an American citizen is not only are you entitled to be a legal member, but you are given benefits, duties, and rights. You're given responsibilities and obligations for the common good. Think of American citizenship as a soldier's accoutrement. Our citizenship is like a sword because it stands out from other countries, and while it's also like a shield because of the rights and laws that come with it. We the people play the role of the soldier, and we do it with pride because America is our home. Therefore, when you say you're an American citizen, say it with honor. However, unfortunately, sometimes the definition of America is perceived wrong. It's crucial to understand that America is a country of diversity. It doesn't matter where you're from, how you look like, or what your culture is. We all are American citizens because we've proven that we are capable of carrying through the duties of America to the full potential. In order to be a real American, we must accept everyone as part of a team because we all work together to make our voices heard. There may be a total of 308 million people here, but America, we all bleed the same color. To conclude my thought, I'll ask the question, what does it mean to be an American citizen? Being an American citizen means that you believe for the better of America and are willing to fulfill your citizen responsibilities as well as obligations. Being an American citizen means that no matter who you share this country with, your mentality unites all the people as one. Finally, being an American citizen means that you have been accepted as another piece to the foundation of America. America is a nation with a mission. Our aim is a democratic peace, a peace found upon the dignity and rights of every man and woman. George W. Bush.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Right, Megan? And actually, I think, is it Megan? Yeah. Megan, okay, I apologize.
It's fine. Morning. Being an American citizen, most people don't think twice about it. You're an American citizen, so what? Well, I'll tell you what being an American citizen really is. Being an American citizen is a great honor, though some people just take it for granted. Being an American citizen is having the freedoms of speech, religion, press, assembly, petition, bearing arms, and equal rights. We have more freedoms than most countries. Having the status of an American citizen is like having the biggest slice of the freedom cake. We can believe in anything we choose to be. We can make our own choices, opening up to a whole world of possibilities. You have so many freedoms in America, whereas in other countries, you only have a handful of them. As an American citizen, you have a chance that many others don't have, and for the pride of you and your country, don't waste that chance. Americans have the knowledge that more than 242 years ago, our country fought and won their independence. We have the pride to know that. Being an American citizen is to have honor for our country. When asked, what does being an American citizen mean to you? I say having the honor and pride to be part of a free country.
Thank you, Megan. I'm going to think about something both of you said all day today, and I hope it'll continue for several more days. I'm going to think about believing in America and taking a bite out of freedom cake. I like it. Thank you both very much. I know it's not easy to stand up here in front of all of these people in this courtroom this morning, but you did so with great poise, and you're both so mature. I know your teachers are proud, and your parents as well, and I want to thank you again for doing this this morning. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now at the heart of our ceremony, which is the time for the motion for admission, and then that will be followed by the very important oath of citizenship. I have several favorite parts to the ceremony, but this is one of my favorite parts to the ceremony because in just a moment, each one of the candidates for citizenship are going to stand individually, and they'll introduce themselves to us, and they'll tell us their country of origin. As they do, we will get a real sense of the uniqueness and the diversity, the wonderful diversity that I spoke of just a few moments ago. At this time, I'm going to call on Special Assistant United States Attorney Lieutenant Allison Malloy to come forward to make the motion for admission.
May it please the court?
Yes, ma'am.
On behalf of the United States, it is my pleasure to present the 76 petitioners for naturalization. 27 petitioners seek permission from the court for a name change. Each has been personally examined under oath by a designated examiner. Each has demonstrated an understanding of the English language and knowledge and understanding of the fundamentals of the history and principles and form of government of the United States. Each has been found to be a person of good moral character, attached to the principles of the Constitution of the United States, and well disposed to the good order and happiness of the United States. The investigation by the government has been completed in each case, and each has been found to meet all requirements of law to be naturalized. Your Honor, on behalf of the government of the United States, I very respectfully move that these petitions be granted, and that upon taking the oath of allegiance, these petitioners be admitted as citizens of the United States of America, and the requested name changes be granted. I request that each petitioner be allowed to stand, introduce themselves, and state their country of origin.
Lieutenant Malloy, it is with great pleasure, and it's my privilege to grant the government's motion for admission, and also to grant the request for name change, and then also to grant the request for each candidate to rise and introduce themselves to us. Thank you.
Lillian Abdelmalik, Egypt.
Hi, good morning. I'm Aranda, or Crizime Aranda. I'm originally from the Philippines.
Jose Arredondo from Mexico.
Heidi Ataya from Egypt.
Ramses Ataya from Egypt.
Gülay Başöz from Turkey.
Natalia Baturina from Belarus.
Warba Juliette Bazi from Burkina Faso.
Krzysztof Kazimierz Borakiewicz from Poland.
Manuel Carna from Mexico.
Mark Casillas from Mexico City.
Jarda Czerny from the Czech Republic.
Danny Chief from Duck Bay, Manitoba. Today I am someone.
Natalia Koslov from Ukraine.
Mircea Crucei, Romania.
Wanda Cruz, United Kingdom.
Muhammad Dali, Syria.
Mary Dang from Canada.
Hilda Vázquez de Soto de México.
Elmidia from Dominican Republic.
Keisha Lewis from Jamaica.
Ayobam Fowley from Nigeria.
Sharon Serrano Fields, Costa Rica.
Nurida Fang from Kyrgyzstan.
Antonella Garcia from Colombia.
Vinya Silva Gay from the Philippines.
Trevor Gibbs from Guyana.
Hà Vương Gibson from Vietnam.
Roxana Heim from Bolivia.
Ashley Hill from Australia.
Xiaoli Huan from China.
Jason Guangjiao from China.
Maria Johnson Lone from Venezuela.
Anita Kent from Mexico.
Daisy Kender in the Philippines.
Consuelo King, Spain.
My name Yi Ki-pyo, South Korea.
Natalia Light, Russia.
Leslie Lucas, Canada.
Carpelbria Magawan, Philippines.
Jenny Nguyễn from Việt Nam.
Ioana Ileva from Bulgaria.
Mai Reynolds from Vietnam.
Jing Nu from Burma.
Cecil Pardillo, Philippines.
My name is Bharat Patel. I'm from India. Thank you.
Anna Pavlicova from Slovakia.
I'm Jenny Ferris from Philippines.
I'm Tran Phương, I'm from Vietnam.
Tibor Palek from Slovakia.
Samira Queder from Jordan.
Cristina Baluno, Records from Philippines.
Alma Ribamonte from Philippines.
Monica Rojas from Colombia.
Sandra Magdalena Rosa from Poland.
Damien FM Salib from Egypt.
Petra Schmelzer from Czechia. Marina Serdyukova from Russia.
Jenny Shipley from the Philippines.
Manees Albasuero from Honduras.
My name is Hae Yong Sang. I am from Seoul, Korea, 17 years ago. Church family together today. Thank you. And the Judge Many, thank you so much. I am honored to be a U.S. citizen, and I'm willing to be a valuable U.S. citizen with my family. Thank you.
Silke Taylor, Germany.
Naimintam from Singapore.
Orpin Townsend from Thailand.
Praxida Thompson from Dominican Republic.
Oksana Tikhovsky, Ukraine.
Irina Warner, Russian, I'm sorry.
Akiko Vale from Japan.
Mylene Victoriano from the Philippines.
Ronald Victoriano from the Philippines.
Sharka Urbova from Czech Republic.
My name is Supi Wolf from Thailand.
Jun Yu from South Korea.
Xue Meizhen from China.
Pimpin Zhou from Chala.
Carolina Patricia Sousa Rovira from Argentina.
My name is T from Vietnam.
We have, are there more candidates? One more. Last but certainly not least. Is that everyone? Oh, all right, thank you. All right, so I have a rather silly question for our candidates, and that is, are you ready? Are you ready to take the oath of citizenship? Okay. So I'm going to ask that just the candidates rise, and I'm going to administer the oath to you. I will ask that when you rise, I'll ask you to raise your right hand. You can follow along as I read the oath to you. There's an insert in your program that contains the words. Also, the monitors contain the words to the oath as well. Okay, just the candidates, please, if you would rise. And raise your right hand. And please repeat after me. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or a citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law. That I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law. That I will perform work of national importance under civil direction when required by the law. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, join me, please. All right, thank you. You may be seated. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with me and congratulating our newest United States citizens. All right, I'm going to recognize some of our new citizens, and for two different reasons, and I'll explain that in just a moment as I recognize them. But if you hear your name called, I would ask that you rise, please, and even if the name sounds remotely familiar, please rise. I'm going to do my best. Heidi Atia and Ramses Atia. And then Mylene Victoriano and Ronald Victoriano. Right. So we certainly imagine that this ceremony is special for everyone who's in the group, and receiving your American citizenship, I expect, is one of the most important and memorable events in your lifetime. And we certainly hope the ceremony is memorable for you. But for the four of you, this ceremony is even more special because you were able to take your oath of citizenship and receive your citizenship alongside a family member. And you are both, your husband and wives, you're married. I think that is special. It's even more special that you're able to do that together. And I want to thank the representatives who are here today from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services in Montgomery for seeing to it that you all could take your oath together. So thanks to them, and congratulations again to each of you. All right, and now Wanda Cruz and Oksen Tikhovsky, Ayobami Fawali. Will you say that for me, please? Fawali. Okay, I was close. Krizia Aranda. So, before today, each of you that's standing took a different oath. You took an oath in which you swore to protect and defend this country as members of our armed forces. We have Ms. Cruz is serving in the Air Force. Are you currently serving now or in the past? In the past. Served in the Air Force, so you're a veteran. Mr. Tikhovsky in the Marine Corps. Are you presently serving or a veteran in the past? And then Mr. Fawali in the Coast Guard. That's right. And are you currently serving? Thank you. And Ms. Aranda in the Air Force, and are you currently serving? Okay, very good. Well, for the active duty and military veterans who are here in the courtroom, and I proudly can say that I am among them, we understand that this oath that you have taken in the past, before today, is not one that is taken lightly. It requires great duty, honor, and personal sacrifice. But there's something that makes your military oath different than the one that I took, the one that Judge Bergosh and others have taken in the past, and that is that when you took your oath and you swore to protect and defend our country, you did so before you could officially call the country your own. And it wasn't until I began presiding over these ceremonies that I realized that we had people who were volunteering for service and serving in our military who weren't citizens of the country. And I was a little ashamed of that because I'm sure that I served alongside many of them in the Army in many moons ago in the 1980s. I understand that today there were approximately 25,000 non-citizens who were serving in our military. And in fact, as we know, immigrants have stood and bravely fought alongside American citizens on the battlefield since the earliest days of our country's history. What doesn't surprise me is that over 700 of them are recipients of the highly prestigious Congressional Medal of Honor. I think this is a unique example that you all represent, a unique example of patriotism and commitment, and it's something that I like to always take note of. I think we all should take note of it. I salute each of you. Thank you very much for your service in our armed forces and your commitment to the rest of us and your country. Thank you. Now, I believe the other judges have some welcoming remarks for our new citizens. I will call first on Judge Kahn.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Rogers. And General Maney, it's wonderful to see you rejoining us for a naturalization ceremony. Welcome back to Pensacola. And on a personal note, before I greet you, I'd like to say that being on a dais with John Appleyard is a bucket list item for me. I appreciate you being here very much and look forward to your remarks. So good morning, Americans, brothers and sisters. As a natural born here in the United States, I can only imagine the feeling you must have after you have successfully planned and traveled the road to citizenship of this wonderful country. The United States is now as much your country and your homeland as it is the country of anyone born here or of anyone who claims generations of residence here. We Americans do not recognize different and varying levels of citizenship. We don't recognize different levels of privilege among our citizens. We Americans do not pay homage to any particular ethnicity, race, religion, or national origin. So we meet here in this great hall, serving today as a United States courthouse, as equals, complete equals in the eyes of the law, and most importantly, in the eyes of our great and enduring United States Constitution. I'd like to challenge each of you to pursue your goals, to meet your obstacles, to overcome any adversity you find along the way. Think always of the freedoms you now have, because whatever your background, whatever your personal story, you are now, as any homeborn American, you are endowed with all the rights, liberties, and responsibilities of free men and women. Congratulations to our countrymen.
On behalf of the state of Florida, Judge Burgash.
Judge Rogers, thank you very much. Judge Kahn, good to see you. Judge Maney, General, United States Army, retired. Good to see you again, sir. My fellow Americans, congratulations on earning your citizenship today. I welcome you as citizens of America, and for many of you, as citizens of the state of Florida. As you all know, as we all know, America is an exceptional country. America is the land of opportunity. It is the land where dreams come true. Millions have come to America for freedom of religion, for the right of free speech, for life, for liberty, and for the pursuit of happiness. From the Pilgrims of Plymouth Rock through each one of you today, our history proves our motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. According to the U.S. Citizenship Immigration Service, in fiscal year 2015, there are almost 33 million legal immigrants in the United States of America. That same year, 7,709 foreign-born military personnel were naturalized as United States citizens as well. Your oath of citizenship states in part that I will support and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That pledge to defend our country in reality is truly borne by our military members, whose military oath is the same as the one that everyone just swore to. So for those that earlier stood, I'm a retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel. I appreciate your service and I understand what you've done. And when you get finished here today, if you will find me, I have a judicial coin that I'd like to shake your hand and present to you for your service. America's uniqueness is often recognized by outsiders and those who are immigrants. The writings of Alexis de Tocqueville in the past to immigrants of today speaks to this. Author Dinesh D'Souza is an immigrant from India, and he writes, "America is the greatest, freest, and most decent society in existence. It is an oasis of goodness in a desert of cynicism and barbarism. This country, once an experiment unique in the world, is now the last best hope for the world." Ladies and gentlemen, legal immigration is good for America, and it contributes to making our country the best and most successful country on earth. Legal immigrants serve in the military, are entrepreneurs, they start businesses, they have a drive to succeed, and they contribute greatly to our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, on this beautiful day, on this most auspicious of occasions, I again congratulate you on becoming citizens of this great nation. May God bless you, may God bless your families, and may God bless our United States of America.
Thank you, Judge Prakash. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our court and for myself personally, I too want to congratulate you and your families on what is such a very proud occasion. Our time is short, and you have heard plenty from me already, so I'm going to keep my welcoming remarks brief. First, I'd like to thank you for the honor that I've had today, having the opportunity to grant your applications for citizenship and to administer the oath to you is one of the greatest privileges of my position. It is an honor that I take very seriously and to heart. So with my thanks, I do have a request, and that is I'd like to ask each of you that as you take your place among the citizenry of our country, that you honor your new title by actively participating as a citizen and join with your fellow citizens to help make the choices that are going to shape our nation as we move forward into the future. Always remember, please always remember and respect the responsibilities that go hand in hand with the privileges of your new title. And of course, those being the responsibility to take part in our electoral process and by exercising your right to vote, helping your neighbor, and of course our community and your community, and of course our personal favorite, jury duty, jury service. So please do remember that as well. So to everyone in the courtroom, I will end by saying that this country of ours, all of ours, is truly special. In the history of the world, there's never been a more generous nation than America, or one more committed to the cause of freedom, liberty, and justice. I congratulate her newest United States citizens and welcome them on becoming a part of her story. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, next on our program is the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the National Anthem. I recognize that this comes at an odd place in our program. Typically, we would recite the pledge and sing the National Anthem at the beginning of a ceremony like this. But we strategically place both the pledge and the National Anthem at this point in our program so that we can all recite the pledge and observe the national anthem together with our new citizens the first time that you officially say the Pledge of Allegiance. And it's our privilege to be able to do that with you as new citizens. All right, so in just a moment, everyone is going to be asked to rise. Our students, I hope, will help lead us in the pledge, and then please do remain standing for the national anthem by Dr. Deck. Right. Please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Be seated, please. See what I mean? And actually, the best is still to come. All right. Let me ask Megan and Cheyenne if they will come forward to assist us with a special presentation. We're going to be presenting Mr. McGinnis has that right there for you, Megan. We're going to be presenting a United States flag, first to our wisest new citizen, Ki Lee from South Korea. Where is Ki Lee? Ki Lee? Yes. We have a flag for you. We're presenting to you as our wisest new citizen. And then Cheyenne will present a flag to our youngest new citizen, Crizia Aranda, in the Philippines. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Cheyenne. I hope you will both display your new flag proudly. And congratulations again to you and all the others. So as has been mentioned here this morning several times, this is an important occasion for all of us to consider how fortunate we are to live in a country that is truly a free country. For most of us in this room, however, American citizenship was a gift that was bestowed upon us simply because we were lucky enough to have been born on American soil. But for our new citizens, it was not so easy to achieve your citizenship. They have had to leave their native homelands. In many cases, I'm sure, they've left family, probably most cases, they've left family and friends behind in order to pursue a life in this country. And they have earned their citizenship through years of hard work and study, preparation, discipline, and commitment. Each of you, I am sure, you each, I know, have your own unique story about your path to citizenship, and I wish that we had time to hear from each and every one of you about your story. I've heard from many new citizens over the past 15 years or so that I've been presiding over these ceremonies, and I've heard some incredible stories. But unfortunately, time will not permit us to hear from everyone this morning. But I do feel that it's important that we have some understanding of the journey that you all take to American citizenship, because there's really no way for those of us who came to our citizenship sort of the easy way to fully appreciate the sacrifices that you all have made to get to this day. And because of that, I ask one new citizen to share his or her story with us. This has become a very special and meaningful part of the ceremony. And today, we asked for a volunteer from the group to speak on behalf of the entire group about his path to citizenship. And the brave new citizen who agreed to speak with us on behalf of the group is Ashley Hill from Australia. Mr. Hill, would you come forward, please? And thank you for agreeing to do this. Yes, sir, please, if you would.
Oh dear. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'm not much of a public speaker, so this will be short and sweet. I'm extremely proud to be here today and honoured to have been asked to come up here and talk. Mine hasn't been a difficult journey by any means compared to, I'm sure, some that have been here, but it's been a long journey. It's 14 years now, so whew. I came here back in the 80s on vacation with my parents and fell in love with America. I fell in love with everything that was here and everything that it stood for. I come from a town in Australia called Biloela, which means white cockatoo. It is so small, my wife's high school had more students than my town. So just to give you, we got our first stoplight a year ago. So that to give you an idea of where I come from. I traveled the world for many years for work, and every time I got to come to the United States, it was my favorite place to be. During my travels, I met someone and I came to the United States for that reason. That has long gone now, and my decision to stay was based on the fact that at the end of that, I knew I didn't want to go back to Australia. This is where I wanted to be. This is where I made home. There was a challenge on Facebook a little while ago, and it was who lives the furthest from their town where they grew up. So I Googled it, and I'm 8,903 miles away from where I grew up. So I think I won that one on most of the people. So I arrived in Pensacola 3 weeks before Hurricane Ivan hit. This building, I think, lost about most of the front windows in it, and at that time when it hit, I thought, what did I do? I spent the next probably year just helping people, whoever I could, to clean up, rebuild their houses. I saw devastation like they've just seen on the East Coast, and it was unbelievable. But again, I knew this is where I wanted to be, and this is where I was going to stay. So, whew. In my time here, I've traveled a lot of the country. I worked in Mississippi for a little while, and that's where I met the love of my life. And today is actually our 5th wedding anniversary. So, so we have a double special occasion for today. September is just full of special occasions for us, so that's a good one. About 6 years ago, we moved back to Pensacola from Mississippi, and again, made this our home, and this is where we want to be. At present, I'm a production manager for a defense contractor, and I build training devices for the U.S. military, and I'm very proud to do so. Whew. So once again, extremely proud to be here, extremely proud to now be an American. I'd like to thank my wife, Angie, family, and friends for being here today, and thank you for having me as a citizen.
Thank you. Ashley, we are pleased you traveled those 8,000 miles and are here. We don't have any white cockatoos, but we have some great pelicans. All right, I'm now going to call on Mr. Steve Traylor, again, who's the president of our local bar association. He'll be introducing our guest speaker this morning. Mr. Traylor.
Thank you, Judge. May it please the court?
Yes, sir.
It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, John Appleyard, who is behind me on the podium. He attended Northwestern University School of Journalism, Oxford University, and the University of Delaware, where he earned a bachelor's degree in 1947, graduating with honors. After college, he worked for Armstrong World Industries and was a partner in the public relations firm of Justin Weddell and Associates. In 1958, Mr. Appleyard served as state director for the Florida Quadricentennial Commission. In 1959, he and his wife, Eleanor, founded the John Appleyard Agency, and he served as its CEO until 1993, when his son Dick took over. He also served as president and CEO of Healthcare Research and Development Institute from 1967 until 1992, when Diane Appleyard became president. One of the region's foremost storytellers, John Appleyard has published more than 100 books, including histories of prominent local families, novels, and nonfiction works detailing our area's rich history, and a series of more than 100 mysteries involving two 1900s-era Pensacola policemen. He has authored histories and produced films for local businesses such as Baptist Hospital, First United Methodist Church, the Medical Center Clinic, the Lewis Baird Company, the T.R. Miller Company, Pensacola Junior College, the Pensacola YMCA, the Escambia County School System, and First Presbyterian Church. He also wrote the plays The Second Great Document and The Third Great Document, and numerous radio reenactments and plays dealing with the local and regional history. In 2016, the University of West Florida named Mr. Appleyard an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters in honor of his commitment to preserving the history of Pensacola and Northwest Florida. Please join me in welcoming the always gracious and always informative John Appleyard.
I thank you very much for those kind words. There were far too many of them, and I hope that in the next few minutes I can do what our honorary judge this morning said at the beginning, be a storyteller for you. Now, in the course of the meetings this morning, you've heard a whole lot about background of American history and government. This being Constitution Week, you will appreciate that on the 17th of September in 1787, the convention adopted the Constitution, but it was about 16 months later that the first actual pieces of the American system came together in New York City, which was our first capital, and that's when George Washington took oath as the first president. And the important part of that particular sentence is this: on that day, all of the people who were residents of the 13 American states or colonies became citizens. So that you can look back to January of the year 1789 was when the first of your group came together. Now, I'm not going to tell you the story of the whole of what happened in the next 150 years. I'd like to, since we're sitting in the staff room of the City of Five Flags, I'd like to tell you a little bit of a story about Pensacola and how this as a community is an example of what has happened in the 200 plus years of our country. Number one, we came together as a state, came together as a part of the United States, that is, Florida did, on the 17th day of July in the year 1821. Now, those of you who know Pensacola or have been around a little bit can picture the square that we call Ferdinand Plaza, just a few blocks from here. And there that morning at 10 o'clock, about 1,000 people, the total population of Pensacola, had gathered together to hear remarks from General Andrew Jackson, who was to be Florida's first governor. Now, Florida, as of that date, became part of the United States. This is 1821, and at that point, Pensacola as a citizen, as a community, was described as being the head of the western part of this new territory. We weren't a state yet, we were a territory. Now, we were, as I say, about 1,000 people. We had practically as many there in the room this morning. But things began to happen almost at once. And I'm glad that we have some military folks here this morning that help represent this, because within 5 years, the United States found it a wise thing to create a Navy Yard here, which would support a new South Atlantic fleet in protection of our country. And so, beginning in 1826, the first of what I would call our new citizens arrived here. One of them was named Lewis Warrington, and those of you who are familiar with the city will recognize that name. And the second one was named William Henry Chase. Mr. Warrington's job was to put together the beginning of the Pensacola Navy Yard. Mr. Chase was here, and his role was to build 4 protective forts to take care of the defense of that Navy Yard. Now, 3 of those forts are still here: Fort Pickens, Fort Barrancas, and Fort Barrancas and the Redoubt. And I hope that in the course of your time here, you will have a chance to see the wonderful work that they did. But we were here, we were a military position in 1826, and we have been ever since, and I thank the Lord for that. We didn't grow a great deal beyond the military until after the war between the states. But then great things began to happen. And I want to illustrate for you, if I can, with just a few representations here, that what you represent today is part of the continuing growth of our community and our country. You said that you had 76 different countries, 76 different peoples, 43 different countries. You are typical of what has happened in our country generation after generation, because as you become citizens today, you are becoming a part of a new generation. And I hope to illustrate it this way. Right after the Civil War, things began to happen in Pensacola. We built a railroad. And when we built the railroad, we also began to realize that we had a huge forest around here, so we went into a new lumbering era. And when that happened, people were brought here from all over the other states to become part of the workforce. We had, in other words, to cut lumber and do it well, we had to have people out of the Carolinas and Wisconsin and Illinois who were experienced in this kind of work. So we've got to give Scotsmen and Germans and Lutherans who came here because they had specialized knowledge, and they began putting together this wonderful part of our new economy. At the same time, not only did we have a railroad, but I think it was your grandfather or your great-grandfather who was able to put together the first big ice-making plant that we had. That's right, isn't it? Because when they began to have ice making here and they had a railroad, what did we already have out in the Gulf? We had fish. So suddenly you put all those together, and we began to bring people down here from New England, people who were either Englishmen or Scotsmen or Frenchmen who came down here because they were experienced fishermen. They were a new generation of our people in Pensacola. At about the same time, of course, the lumbering part, the lumber making part required others, and they began to bring new people, new nationalities in with us. Now, some of these folks getting off the boats coming here were very unique, and I want to use just a couple of examples. One man that arrived here in the 1870s was named John Jadovic, Jadoviche. He was a very energetic man. He frankly, I hope none of you folks out there did this, but he came out as a member of a crew on a ship coming out of Yugoslavia. He was kind of running away, if you put it frankly. He got to Pensacola. He liked what he saw, so he jumped ship. And when the ship was gone, he got a job on the docks, saved a few dollars, and then he discovered that what was being made now was ready-made clothing of a type that was inexpensive and that the men coming off of other ships would like. So John Jadovic put together a clothing business, just a little shack down on the waterfront. But he found he had a problem. Maybe some of you might face this problem in days ahead. He found that many of the people couldn't pronounce it. They couldn't spell his name, and they certainly couldn't pronounce it. So what did he do? He changed his name through the courts, of course. He changed his name to John White. And for the next 4 generations, there were members of the White family serving in the clothing industry in Pensacola. They were helping to build a new part of what we had here. About the same time, a young man came here on the vessel. He got off legally, and his name was Gus Silivos. Mr. Silivos, he was a Greek, and back in his native country, his family had been in the food business. Gus Silivos put together a few dollars and put a nice restaurant down on Palafox Street. Very soon, it became known as Nick Apostle's Restaurant. It was a show place, and for the next 5 generations, members of that family helped build the population of Pensacola and our economy. They did a wonderful job, just as some of you are going to do run the same way. Another person that was coming in about the same time was named William Chipley. William Dudley Chipley was a Scotsman. He had been born outside the country. He came to Pensacola from Georgia. And he came down here with the goal of helping to expand the railroad system that we had just begun here, and he did it. And over 20 years, that man put together this part and that part so that we became the hub of a great railroad system. And for those of you who have some time as you're in Pensacola to wander around a little bit, you find Plaza Ferdinand down here. Right in the center of that plaza is a huge 60-foot tall monument, a memorial. It's the only memorial that we have in the entire city of that type that is dedicated to a civilian worker. And it was put there in 1896 to dedicate the work that one man, William Chipley, did in putting so many new parts of our city together, just as you are going to do in whatever you do. Okay, as the fishing industry developed, more people began to come down here from various parts of New England. People who were in the fishing business, they began to build fishing smacks. They did all of the things that would work. And for the next 75 years, we had 3 huge companies here with their own fishing smacks, of course, their own ice plants, and they fished all over the Gulf, did a wonderful, and because of that, we became known as, for a while anyway, as the snapper capital of the world. We moved further down into the 20th century. And then Pensacola became an industrial city. We began to put together plants that would make brick, that would handle lumber. We just did a wonderful series of things time after time, and each time the addition of new people, just like you are coming here today, were the ones that added this and that and the other. And as a result of this, as we sit here in this conference room today, we are a community of about, our county has about 30,000 people, about 300,000 people. We're not big, but we have grown step by step by step because more people like you have come, some of them is coming through as you have today, some who have recognized opportunities here and have come to put them together as well. And so they have done this. Now, if we look around, today we're not a Navy yard, but we have our great Naval Air Station. That changed from the Navy Yard to naval aviation in the year 1914, and we have grown in that sense ever since, and we are so proud of the fact that our community, if we talk Pensacola and to the counties just to our east, there are more retired military people percentage-wise in those 4 counties than in any other part of the United States. And that is something we're proud of because every retiree that we have, just like the judge here, they are all wonderful citizens and they help make a community that is as close to being American as you can. I know the judge said she remember at the beginning, she said the program was going to be an hour long, and I haven't touched all of my hour yet, but but I would like to close, if I may, with a personal story. All of you representing different countries have great honor and privilege of looking back on your lives. And I can tell you that sometime in the future, as you get a little bit older, there are certain dates that you're going to remember. You're going to remember when you came to the United States as a country, and you are definitely going to have an indelible memory of what is going on your behalf here today. The fact that you became an American today is, well, this is your day. I want to add one thing that a lot of us take pride in, and that is how long we've been around. The judge mentioned that a little bit ago. Let me close by saying this. I am proud to be descended from, on my father's side, from a man by the name of William Brewster. Now, William Brewster may not mean a thing to you, but he was one of 104 men and women who got off a vessel named the Mayflower in November of 1620, and they so became what we call the Pilgrim Fathers. Now, I don't know how many generations we're going to have to pass before you can have your descendants look back and say, well, we know we can remember that our Aunt so and so or whoever it may have been remembers this particular day in your family. But treasure it, because being an American is partly being you and it is partly, as the judge said, making a contribution. One last little point. Pensacola is the city of five flags. You're sitting in the chambers here of that city, and that city, of course, dates as a city itself, going way back, many decades. But we remember that 17th day of July, 1821, when Florida and Pensacola became part of these United States. So that's a long time ago, but you are the ones that are going to carry on the story, and I know that looking out here, looking at all these bright young faces, you're going to do a wonderful job. May I just say congratulations to you, one and all. Remember, it is great to be part of the United States, and a special tip of the hat, if I may, to those who have been or will in the future serve in our military. Thank you for the chance, the privilege of being with you here this morning. Thanks a lot.
Personally, I could sit and listen to Mr. Appleyard all day. I'm a Pensacola native, and every time I hear him speak, I learn something new about this wonderful community. Thank you. And now there will be a test. I wouldn't do that to you. Few have the mind that Mr. Appleyard has. It's just amazing. And we are blessed to have such a rich history here in Pensacola, and equally blessed to have Mr. Appleyard to continue to tell her story. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I add one word?
Yes, sir.
I would tell you that I would have done a better job, but I'm just a few days away now from my 96th birthday, so you got to kick up. You have to be careful.
Like I said, pretty
Judge,
amazing.
if I may, he didn't say it. He's a veteran of World War II as well, so we appreciate your service.
Okay, and now for another one of my favorite parts of the ceremony, I'm going to call on Dr. Leo Day. This really is my favorite part.
I would say that I pay her a lot of money to say that, but it is against the law to pay a judge. It is indeed, I want to say a hearty greeting as well to my new brothers and sisters. Hey, I love it. I started doing this ceremony about 12 years ago, and I must say that when Judge Rogers called me, my first answer in my head and my soul and my everything was to say, absolutely not. You are the craziest woman I've ever met in my life. And here's why I wanted to say no. Several years ago, I married my Jamaican princess. Her name is Donna. And Donna, when she was naturalized, it was the most awful thing I'd ever been through in my life. The building was dark. There was a leak from the ceiling. Half of the lights did not work. The AC, it was just awful. The judge said, raise your hand, blah, 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 and you're out of here. I said, what a horrible way to welcome someone to our country. We're bigger and we're better than that. And when somebody said, say yes, I said yes. I came to the first ceremony and I was shocked. A program was over an hour. There was a middle school there talking about the beauty of being in this country. The lights were on, the AC was on. There was a printed program. And I said, as long as they ask me to come back, I'm going to say yes, because this is the way to welcome new citizens into our country. Thank you, Judge Rogers, and for all of your team, I think you are the bomb.
I'm the bomb because you keep coming back.
I love her. I love her. Mark Twain said, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. I found out why several years ago. All of my training is in opera theater. I get to travel the world and scream at people all over the world. It's the coolest thing. So I got to thinking, what would be a good way for me to add my welcome in maybe a creative, artistic way. And I decided to sing one of our most beautiful American anthems. And I get the program and I look at all of the countries that you're from, and I began to look at languages that I know. And I have determined to sing, and I've been doing this for years now, and it's my favorite thing to do on the face of the earth, is to sing in your native tongue, one of our great American anthems. If you recognize your language, just smile. Don't sing with me, you may mess me up, all right? And so today I will be singing America the Beautiful in English, Russian, Korean, German, Japanese, and Spanish. It's what I do, I know. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties above the fluted plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Прекрасная страна небес, янтарник свет полей, с пурпурными горами, равнины из садов. America, America, Господь ранит тебя, венчает райской добротой с утра и до зари. O armda un hanulgua han gumulkjolbora ung juang han huario gangsan pungsan han jolme America, America, 하나님 은혜라 영재 사랑과 멸관 영원히 빛나리 so wunderschön mit weitem Himmel und wiegenden Feldern, prachtvolle Berge, überflugbare Erde, Amerika, Amerika, Gottes Gnade fällt auf dich und krönt dich mit Brüderschaft von Meer zu Meer und Tsukushi sorako kumotsu no kohaku iro no nami murasaki no sugenayama Minoriuki hegen oeni America, America, kamiuma megumiu atae, kagaya kerumieto, yuayu sazuke kureta. Oh, hermosa de cielo azul, de valles de esplendor, por majestuosas montañas lilas, abajo la próspera de América, Dios rociosa gracia en ti, y lu corono de bien hermandad, del mar al mar brillante. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home, America, America. God bless America.
Bet you are glad that you stuck around. We are really so blessed to have Dr. Day return. I don't know how it's possible, but I think he does enjoy this even more than we do. There's no other way to explain. I mean, he continues to be here practically every ceremony. He is very busy in his work at the seminary in Fort Worth. He is in demand all over the world, as we can understand, for his magnificent voice. But he finds time to be here to welcome you all in this wonderful fashion. And I can't imagine any other more special way to welcome you all as new citizens than through Dr. Day. I dare say we're the only court in the country that welcomes new citizens with America the Beautiful in multiple languages. So thank you, Dr. Day, for being here. And what he didn't tell you is that we now plan our ceremonies. We schedule them around his schedule. We call him first before we select the dates for our ceremony. That is true. That is true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude our ceremony. I want to say a special word of thanks to all those who participated and contributed. Dr. Appleyard, thank you very much. Dr. Day, our students and teachers from Ransom Middle School, Megan and Cheyenne, thank you for your essays. And Sergeant Uzzle, thank you for being here. And also thanks to the outstanding members of our court staff. They do all of the heavy lifting. I thank them very much for their efforts here today. They make it look so easy, but it's not. All right. In just a moment, we're going to, Sergeant Uzzle's going to retire the colors. Then I'm going to ask the new citizens to please remain seated in your seats where you are now, so we can make sure we get the certificates of citizenship to you, the right person with the right certificate. Dickie Williams is here from the Navarre Press, and he will be taking photographs. If you would like a photograph after you receive your certificate, if you'd like a photograph with the judges, will be here on the bench. At least I will be. I can't speak for Judge Burgash and Judge Khan, but I'll be here if you would like to take a photograph before you leave. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would all please rise as the colors are retired. We are adjourned.